So let's run it back real quick. You said you're in the system. You get out of the system, and then what?
I go to adult ed to try to complete my, because I only needed 4 credits.
Mm.
So I go to adult ed to complete that. And I didn't get to complete it because my grandma, one of my uncles got out of prison and he offered her a little bit more money for the room. So she kicked me out. So I had to go start staying with the homies and shit.
Your tia? Your
my grandma.
Oh, your grandma.
Yeah, my mom's mom. Yeah.
She kicked you out.
Yeah, she kicked me out for her older son.
Why couldn't she just keep both of you?
I don't know. She was just
have you post up
because I had a room and shit. Like she would occupy the living room, right? And we couldn't even. That's another story too. But real quick, we couldn't even go in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like we're.
Was it real like segregated with your phone? I shouldn't say segregated, but like not like a family. You know, families supposed to stick together.
Well, the family was always in and out of prison, so it was like one person leaving, one person coming. You know, like all my grandma's kids, except for one, she has 9 kids. Every single one of her kids went to prison. And the only one that did it was my aunt in Texas.
So would you say growing up, your family, like your mom and your grandma, your family wasn't like as like close as they should be?
They were dysfunctional.
Because of
just my grandma was like, it just trickled down from her mom. My grandma went to prison for armed robbery. So it's a dysfunctional family, like Mexican hillbillies type shit. To be honest, like I didn't come from like having fucking barbecues in the backyard and like, you know, like the way we do it now, you know, for our kids.
So your grandma went to prison, your mom went to prison. Did you ever have to go to prison?
No.
That's good.
No. County time, shit like that.
And how was that?
Same shit.
Yeah,
hey, I was an adult, I was older, it wasn't cool. You know, I had kids and shit. I was like, had dependents and shit. It was depressing. To keep it real, there was nothing fun about it.
Yeah.
I was already in my 30s.
And like growing up with your family being like that, do you, like not being so close, do you feel like that's the reason you're kind of close to your kids? Because I see you post them a lot on Instagram. You post their achievements and whatnot. Do you feel like you growing up like that kind of made you want to like be closer to your kids whenever you have them?
Oh, definitely. It made me like worry about them a lot, like 24/7 worrying because I know the shit I went through and the possibilities, and I didn't even have to snap on the mom when she told me to back off them a little bit, or be a little rough on them. But I was like, listen, and I would have to tell her like, you know, there's gonna be another man that these kids don't know, telling them what to do if you don't let me get to them. You know what I mean? And you know, like I said, growing up in the system, having a fucking grown man snatch you up, throw you on the floor, kind of makes you like, you know, like it takes something from you. It's like, you know, you're just a little ass kid. You can't even defend yourself with this person. Well, that's a fucked up feeling, man. I remember this one time I was in this foster home with my sister, and we had black foster parents, and we were there for like about a year, and so our first seen Purple Rain. That's the only thing I got good out of that fucking place. But they ran this house like if it was jail, locked doors, and I remember one time I snuck out my room to go in my sister's room to visit my sister. You know what I mean? And the dude came out, snatched me up, threw me down the stairs, whooped my ass, threw me down the whole stairs and shit.
Damn.
Yeah.
Why would he even adopt you guys then? Do you feel like it was just a money or what's up?
Money, straight up. Like that, you know, when we look back at it, they didn't show us no love. You know what I mean? No love. They fed us like fucking prisoners. Fucking hurry up and eat, get the fuck back in the room, close the door, boom, that was it.
And how'd you and your sister get yourself out of that situation?
Eventually, my mom ended up pulling us out of there. I don't know how she got us out of that spot. I don't know, but eventually we went back to her mom. You know, my mom was just like she would create these miracles. I don't know how the fuck. You know, we end up in another apartment. You know, we'd be back in foster home. We end up back with her. You know, it's just like miracles all the time, man.
So you don't have no resentment towards your mother then?
No, I actually resented my grandma more. You know what I mean? They're both dead now, but yeah. I actually resented my grandma because when my mom died like 7 years ago, my grandma was still alive. And she didn't see her daughter for like 20 years, and then she shows up on her, you know, on her deathbed on my sister's couch. We took my, you know, like my mom home on hospice, and she died in her arms and shit. You know what I mean? But then my grandma shows up. It was kind of weird. Like my grandma was like a hustler. You know what I mean? Backtrack a little bit. one time my mom went to prison, and my mom let my grandma have the apartment because my grandma and her 2 young kids, which my aunt and uncle, were homeless, and she was just stay at my apartment, watch my kids while I go do this time. When I get out, just take my apartment back type shit, right?
Mm.
But it didn't work like that. My mom got out, and my grandma didn't give the housing back to her, the housing and the apartment, and so yeah, it was important me telling you that. We were backtracking. We were talking about. Well, anyways, yeah, that's that right there. That's one of the little things going.
Mm. What about with your father?
He was never around.
But no resentment or?
No, I met him when I was 26. When I met my dad when I was 26, I ended up finding him.
Oh, you found him?
Yeah. And he was going through the same shit too, ended up in prison, so it's kind of a good thing. But when I met him, he was a changed man. I met him at a baseball field. He was coaching Little League because he had kids of his own. So he was a good man. He went to Bible college to this day. He's continuing that. You know what I mean?
That's right. Talk to me about your brand, Keep It Family.
That's where that comes from, man. It's like, cause my mom, she like held it down, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, no matter what, like every time she got out of juvenile, every time she got out of jail and I was in juvenile hall, she'd make it a point to go see me first. You know what I mean? And then she'd go back on her little thing, but she like held it down, until we got it, like, she kept us alive. We got to give her that, some respect for that. You know what I mean?
That's right. I remember one time, a couple years back, you had made a post saying that you were going to stop rapping.
Yeah, that was like I was torn in between trying to like troll it, and then at the same time I was kind of like, man, like, my daughter she was freshly born, and I'm like, I don't want to be taking her around this environment and shit like that. You kind of get discouraged a little bit with the environment. You know what I mean? Because, okay, I survived 3 boys, kept them out the system. And my daughter, it might be different. She might take a liking to certain crowds and shit. So I was like, I better get out of this before. But then I just, it's like there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You just gotta just keep educating them. So then people were telling me, don't do that. And then, to be honest with you, like without music, that's kind of like my therapy. Like one of my things I do, one of my go-to things to relieve some stress. So that's what I do. Yeah.
That's right. How were you able to keep all 3 of your sons and your daughter out the system or out the streets? I mean, especially when their dad was in the streets, because a lot of times their son wants to be just like the dad. Was it just you being tough on that? A lot of arguing, a lot of not arguing, a lot of fucking coaching. A lot of coaching, sitting them down, spending 2 hours in the room. After a big old workup, we got stressed out, yelling and stuff. And I never left it unattended. Sat in the room with them for as long as it took for them to understand. Hugged it out, you know what I mean? And always let them know how much I love them, why I'm telling them not to do this shit. You know what I mean? It's not like every boy hangs with you. You can raise your kid as good as you want, but the streets are there. They're going to see people at the bus stop or at school. The influence is always going to be there. So you still got to always capitalize. Hey, look, I know you're going to see this one day. You're going to see that one day. It was stressful. Always having to tell them, one day you're going to go down the street, you're going to turn left, and that's going to be there. And they're like, they couldn't register all that at once. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but every time my son come up to me, like my oldest, and he'd be like, damn, you're fucking right, Dad. Damn, you're right. Like every single time, but he would have to learn the hard way. That's true. I was like that too. With my dad. Yeah.
It's easier said than done. And then plus, at the same time, I'm still chilling with my boys, right? I like to barbecue, and when I sit by the barbecue pit, beer comes hand in hand. So I don't drink by myself, it's not me. I'm a social drinker. So I always have to have a couple homies around when I'm drinking. So then I was kind of like, damn, I'm not like leading by example entirely, but these homies already survived this shit. These dudes got jobs and taking care of their business, they own homes and shit. Some of them were like, I didn't turn, even some of them were fresh out of prison. I didn't turn my back on my people. You know what I mean? I always, hey, man, you're welcome over here, some Kool-Aid, some soups. You know, sit on my couch for 2 weeks and shit, you know, until you get on your feet. I always did that when I was younger.
Mm.
And that's the shit I won't do no more as I'm older. Like I won't open my doors and shit like that, especially with my daughter around. But like basically what I'm trying to tell you is like you can tell your kids whatever the fuck you want. They're gonna do what you do. They're not gonna do what you say.
I feel like sometimes when you tell them not to do something, kind of want to rebel and want to do the exact opposite.
Yeah. And then sometimes they feel like less of a man. Like, why don't you want this for me? Well, you don't think I can handle it? Type shit, you know? I noticed that. You know what I mean? Like, but man, it's just being a parent, it doesn't come with no instructions. And the only thing I could recommend is to just never take your foot off their neck. You know what I mean? Always stress. Don't ever try to relax and ignore it. Because getting on them is stressful. A lot of parents be like, fuck that, you know? Let them walk out the door. Nah, chase them down the street, pull up to where they're at. Hey, come here, man, you know? Go through it. Just go through it, you know?
What's one of the biggest obstacles you had to face as a father?
Just trying to convince them that I was, you know, what I was saying is right, you know? Because, like, I would I'll see eye to eye with them, they look at me like, motherfucker, you just over here, you know, with your people, you know? You try to tell me, you know? So that was kind of hard to convince them, like, look, dude, me and these dudes are sitting by a barbecue pit. You know what I'm saying? Me and these dudes are out the park, you know, it's like, and when you're chilling with your guys, like, you guys ain't got shit to do. You're like looking for something to do. You guys are bored. You know what I mean? But you know, for the most part, I kept my kids in sports since all of them since they were 5. They played football, basketball, baseball, wrestling. They even did some dance classes and shit. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't work out though. They wasn't feeling that shit.